faces tonight. This is a really exciting night for everyone here on SASE. We've all been really anxiously looking forward to this for the past few weeks. So I'm honestly really grateful to see so many people here. It means a lot to all of us that so many people really care about SASE. Also, thank you to the people watching on the live stream. I don't think there's anyone there. But thank you to the people on the maybe live stream later for also watching. I know it's kind of an inconvenient time when there's a lot of more fun events kind of going on at this time. So thank you guys. Before we get started, I just want to kind of talk about the election just a little bit before we actually get started. So I just wanted to emphasize that I'm really excited for tonight, but I'm excited for all of you to get to hear what the candidates will say tonight, but I'm probably even more excited for the candidates themselves. As many of you know, I'm probably more than a little obsessed with SASE. It's kind of all I do with my life. And what makes me really happy is to get to see these people who I think have been a little more obsessed than I have been these past few weeks, and it's kind of heartwarming in a way. Because I've seen the countless hours they've really put into talking with all of you, talking with all the board members, putting in many hours into just a quick 15-minute presentation. And I just hope that all of you tonight will really listen to what they have to say and think critically. So the way this will work is there will be a 15-minute presentation followed by 15 minutes Q&A for each team. So what I really hope to emphasize again with all of you is please, while listening, think about what they're saying and think about what in SASE is really important to you. What do you really hope that they'll talk about? And ask lots of questions. There's only so much you can say in 15 minutes, so I'm sure they're actually really hoping you guys ask them questions and hoping that you can really get to know them more. So don't be afraid. Don't feel like you're putting them under unnecessary pressure or anything, because they want to talk to you and they really want you to get to know them to the best of their abilities. So that being said, I don't want to keep talking and holding off the main event. I'm just going to run through a few logistical things really quickly. So we'll start right at 6:15, and our first team is Jane, Wang, and William Guo. Like I mentioned, we'll have presentations for 15 minutes followed by Q&A, and then at 6:45 will be Kristin and Mengdi going up. And then afterwards, there will be kind of like an open discussion, nothing formal, but yeah, I guess we can talk about that more once the presentations themselves are over. So I don't know what time it is. Okay, a few minutes. So, oh, quick plug too. Apply for board, everyone. Applications are up. You can check out our website here, saseumin.org, or if you are all on our mailing list, you should have gotten an email or a Facebook. Like, it's also on our Facebook page. Applications are due April 12th. Final thing is, all of you also should have gotten a little paper. I see lots of the papers floating around. That just has background information that all the candidates answered. And if there is anybody here who thinks everybody here, I guess, should have gotten a voting link. If you are eligible to vote, you should have already received this link. If you have not received the link and you think you are eligible, talk to me now so I can get that settled for you. We will open voting at 7:15. So, and that being said, let me pull this up.
Try your pizza. All right. Hi, my name is Jane, and I'll be running for the president of SASE next year.
Hi everyone, my name is Will. I'll be running as VP.
And we are running because we want to create a diverse community within SASE and continue on a path of innovation.
So for the agenda, we're going to start with About Us, then we'll move on to our vision of SASE. Then we'll go to our goals for SASE and our plans of action to attain those goals. And after that, we'll define success and we'll talk about what can we in SASE do for you.
So if you don't already know, I'm Jane. I'm from Edina, Minnesota, and I'm currently a junior in chemical engineering. I currently serve as the events coordinator for SASE, and one of my hobbies is sleeping when I get the chance to. And one fun fact about me, I was a big nerd in middle school, and I actually competed in the National Spelling Bee.
And if you guys don't know already, my name is Will, and I'm currently the volunteer coordinator for SASE. I'm a sophomore studying biomedical engineering, and I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. My hobbies include exercising with friends and watching movies. And a fun fact about me is that I don't know how to ride a bike, despite being 20 years old.
So to be innovative means to do something new and interesting. It also means to take something that currently exists and bring it to the next level. So our vision for SASE is to strengthen our programs and to create strong collaborations. And from these collaborations, with various cultural and professional student groups here at the U, we hope to create a diverse community where we can generate new and exciting ideas to fuel innovation. So the goals we have set out for SASE can be divided into 4 categories: cultural, community, professional, and outreach. Under our cultural branch, we want to diversify the type of cultural events that we host. In order to grow the SASE community, we want to strengthen the connection between general members and board members, as well as increase the different majors and Asian heritages within SASE. By increasing diversity within SASE, we can create a community of different people, and we can benefit from a new influx of ideas that can help us foster innovation through our professional branch and our outreach initiative. We want to strengthen our professional branch by increasing corporate funding, as well as build connections between SASE and here in Minneapolis. And finally, for outreach, we are the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, so we want to focus on STEM-related outreach and volunteering events, and to establish SASE's presence in the UMN and Minneapolis community. So I think most people would agree with me that diversity is a good thing, and in order to increase collegiate and cultural diversities within SASE, we first need to reach out to a wider range of audience. And in order to achieve cultural diversity, we plan on continued collaborations with some of the many cultural student groups here at the U. For example, we're actually planning a collaboration with the Indian Student Association next semester, and we want to reach out to other Asian cultural student groups to work on similar projects. As for collegiate diversity, we want to offer research opportunities for those people who might not necessarily want to go into industry after school, as well as our networking by collaborating with other STEM-focused groups and professional student groups, such as the Business Association for Multicultural Students in St. Carlson, for example. Another one of our goals is to have our general members be able to learn about different Asian cultures when they come to our cultural events. And over the past year, we've held cultural events where we've given our general members a fun time and delicious food. And in addition, we started incorporating more culturally relevant and educational activities. For example, in our Oodles of Noodles event, we served mee goreng, which is actually a very popular Southeast Asian dish. In our curry night, we played musical chairs to Indian music. And our latest cultural event, we collaborated with the Hong Kong Student Association to bring you all about dumplings. Now, this collaboration was a big success, and I would say a milestone for our cultural events. We were able to see many new faces that we've never seen before at our events, and I think this event also touched upon our goal of incorporating and providing more culturally educational and relevant activities. For example, the history of dumpling presentation, and also teaching our general members how to make Japanese mochi. We think this is we can take things to the next level with this event, and we want to continue our success with collaborations moving forward.
So collaborations is also a great marketing tool. As you can see here, this is a graph showing the attendance rates between collaborative events and non-collaborative events. And on the blue, you can see these are the collaborative events. For Halloween, we worked at J Cafe and CSCIA, and with our All About Dumplings, we worked at HKSA. And in the green are the events that we hosted by ourselves. So with a brief glance, you can see that the blue events are almost triple the size of green events. And this will also help expand SASE by doing more collaborative events. During my time as corporate relations officer, I found it difficult to make contact and to convince companies to come on campus. In order to fix that, our plan is to create a bi-monthly corporate newsletter. We can give companies updates on what we've been doing in our programs, such as SASE Labs and SASE Junior, as well as show off what we can do at SASE. We'll also be allowing companies to opt out of the newsletter in case they find it to be too spammy. And our other plan is to collaborate more with CSE and professional student groups, as well as local companies such as Boston Scientific, Celadon Systems, and Bar Engineering. Local companies are a great way to get more diversity within our student group because they're more accessible in terms of interest and location, and they're generally more interested in our students for hiring for future jobs. Working with more with a more diverse group of companies will help SASE members secure jobs, as well as with more diverse companies such as Celadon Systems. They do software engineering, and currently in SASE we don't have a lot of software engineers, so we want to spread more diversity that way. And as for outreach, currently we're also affiliated with the STEM Outreach Coalition. Last month I worked with a handful of other volunteers to go to the Brian Coltine Tech Center to go teach a bunch of high schoolers and middle schoolers how to extract DNA from strawberries. So that outreach is important because we want to give back to community, and reaching out to, and these communities don't usually have the opportunity or they can't afford buying materials for fun science events such as extracting DNA. And this is important. Focusing on STEM outreach is also important because it helps us foster interest in scientists and engineers. So as for programs, currently in SASE we have SASE Junior, which we are working with the Hmong College Prep Academy to show to high schoolers how to talk to high schoolers about science and engineering as a form of outreach. With the Hmong College Prep Academy, we also have a program called SASE Pals. SASE Pals is a pen pal program where we match college students with high school students in order to talk to them about the general college admission process, as well as what it's like being a college student. And next year we will continue innovating by hosting a programming lab with Professor David Orser, where we'll teach high schoolers how to code and some basic coding skills. And as for SASE Labs, currently SASE Labs is a very project-based group. One of their projects is creating a smart water bottle using Arduinos with, and they're also being helped with Professor David Orser. And SASE Labs is a great way for general members to learn about technical skills such as programming with Arduinos, as well as 3D printing. And next week we'll also be having the SASE Lab Symposium, so please come by to see what they've been up to this entire school year.
So another one of our goals is to grow our interconnected community. The reason I joined SASE was because I really appreciated the community I saw here. I saw board members giving advice to general members. I saw them even asking general members to come hang out after the student group activities were over. And I want to extend this sense of community to more people. Back when I was a board member, SASE didn't offer mentorship programs such as Taste of SASE, so I just tagged along with board members whenever they went event hopping, and that's one way to get to know us. But now we have the Taste of SASE program where we actively connect board members with general members. And so we started a pilot program this spring because we noticed that it became increasingly harder to connect with our general members one-on-one as our events got bigger and busier. This pilot program has become a huge success. We've gotten a lot of people interested in SASE and SASE board, and we want to continue it next year. Where in the fall, we want to make Taste of SASE a mentorship program where we'll focus on developing the mentee and mentorship relationship with a series of bonding events throughout the semester. Once our mentees have become more familiar with SASE, in the spring we'll transition over to committees where the mentees will be able to shadow a board member and learn about their role within SASE in hopes of fostering an interest for them to apply for a board. Defining success. So we want to achieve all these goals that we have set out for SASE, and we think that the most important milestones that are indicative of success are an increasingly diverse cultural and professional network, growth in program attendance, and finally to see personal growth in our board and general member. For example, we want to get one new corporate sponsor next year. We want to see our Taste of SASE program grow, so every board member, if they want a mentee, will have a mentee. And finally, at the beginning of the year, I want to ask my board members and the general members in participating in our programs to think of a goal they really want to achieve over the semester. And whether it is to take on a leadership role, get an internship, see a project from start to finish. I'll be checking with them throughout the semester to make sure they're making progress and if they need any help guiding them in that direction. So what can we and SASE do for you? As your president and vice president, we aim to build a community that's both diverse and supportive, where it's a collaborative environment and people can have fun with their friends. They can learn about Asian culture, and they can also gain access to opportunities and career connections. And as your president, I want to be as open and I want to be as, present and available. If you have any exciting, new, innovative ideas you want to talk about, or if you even have concerns you want to express, please come talk to me, because I practically live in the SASE office, so you know where to find me.
And as your future VP, I plan on being a more supportive and open person to talk to. So in case you have if you're feeling stressed out about your work or feeling overwhelmed in any single way, feel free to talk with me. I can find a way to help you out. I can also work with the rest of the board to help out. So, questions for us?
Question. So I know it's not as easy to get sponsors as interested in SASE as like maybe Swede or Nesby, because all the companies are on that boat of like, oh, we should focus on like women and like, Black engineers and other groups like that. And Asians are like not as much focused on, and also SASE Labs is kind of a limited environment to have projects in. So how exactly do you plan to focus on making SASE members essentially more palatable for being hired at companies, and then further developing connections that way?
So with SASE Labs, well, I guess for more palatable in terms of that, I guess, is if people join SASE Labs, they can learn technical skills, and companies like having members with technical skills, right? Like knowing how to program versus someone who doesn't know how to program is definitely a step above them. We want to be able to provide these opportunities for them to learn through SASE.
But also in those programs, they can only be so large of a scope, where there will definitely be other people who can do other things that will give them more in-depth technical experience. How can they, compete in that situation?
I guess more in depth. The depth of the skills is definitely going to be determined on how much work the general member wants to put in, I suppose. So for SASE Labs, we just want to provide the members with as much resources as we can muster in order for them to learn as much as they're interested in learning. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
I have questions from the other team. There's like 7 questions, so I'm going to try to make this as fast as possible. So how are you going to ensure that tasks will be equally distributed amongst board members, as well as trust that they'll perform such tasks? How do you plan on addressing board member work that doesn't meet your expectations?
How do we make sure that the work is evenly distributed among board members?
Yes.
So I think that each role already has a predetermined set of tasks that they're expected to do if they apply for that role, right? But I think that as in SASE, it's you get what you put in for it. So if you want to do more work, you actively go and you ask for more work, or you come up with projects that you want to do. If you have concerns, that if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overloaded, please come talk to us. And we want to create SASE as a supportive environment, so that if you think that you have too much work, please go talk to us, talk to someone else. We can try to distribute that work. But we do want to make it clear at the beginning of the year that you are signing up for a series of roles, a series of duties that you are expected to uphold throughout the year.
Next question is, how will the both of you be able to split your leadership and manage your lives outside of SASE, especially when Jane is going to be a senior in Chemie and Will is a junior in BME, both arguably the busiest times of your college career?
I can answer that about my part as Chemie. I would say my workload as chemical engineering major next year has lessened a little bit because they haven't changed the major, so I will be taking one less Chen course. So that will give me some more time to focus on SASE. And I will also plan to block out an amount of time in my week that I need to spend on SASE, so that can give me, let me figure out my schedule and my schoolwork, my workload, and accordingly do those work so I can still have time to complete my tasks as president.
And as for me, last year and this year, I've already been working ahead of my coursework. So next semester will be less, because I'm currently taking the technical electives I'm supposed to be taking during junior year. So that'll definitely be a lot more time for me to do SASE focused things.
And to answer that second part of the question, where how we'll be splitting our tasks as president and vice president, for me, I view president as a very external role, where I will be facilitating between SASE and the rest of the CSE community, especially since we want to do a lot of collaborations. I'll be reaching out to the leaders of other student groups and keeping in contact with them, as well as focusing on maintaining contact with our national chapter per se, and with our the regional coordinators. So like a more external kind of role, but I also want to really focus on personal development in our board members and general members too, so I'll be taking care of that.
And as for me, I'll be focused on a more internal type role. Honestly, it's just making sure everyone's happy and their work is getting done. It's just keeping up with everyone, and if they need support or help, they can ask me and I can find someone, if I can't do it myself, to assist in this work.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What is the one thing that you want to gain out of for being a president and vice president? Personal gain.
Personal gain? I think a person can always use more leadership opportunities to grow as a leader, because what I learned being in leadership positions is that it's a rather humbling experience, where you often work with people who have certain skill sets that you don't have. And so you can learn from that, but at the same time kind of appreciate that not a single person can do one thing. It requires a team. And as a leader, you're in a very important role to kind of guide everyone toward that vision, to make sure everyone's getting the work done, make sure everyone's feeling appreciated.
As for me, I'd say something similar. I want to get more leadership experience and learn what it's like to be relied on other people, for what it's like to, manage people? That's a bad word for it. But I guess dictate tasks to others and just be like a center for communication.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You mentioned that like collaborations were like something that you want to do more of next as president and vice president. But for me personally, the All About Dumplings event was actually one of my least favorite events, because of the fact that it was so messy and there were so many people, and so like it actually didn't give me a chance to connect with any board members. But the regular events where like the board members are not so busy, that's where I was able to connect with more of the board members and connect more with SASE. So how do you think that you'll be able to fix that issue when you guys are pushing for more collaborations?
Yeah, I can answer that. So what we want to do is at least 2 collaborations a semester. Of course, we host a lot more events than just 2 a semester. Those will not be collaborations. Those we would host ourselves, and as well as so we could have the opportunity to connect with our general members. The collaborations is a way for us to expand our reach to different kinds of people than the general base we usually pull in. And so we hope to use that as a tool to increase diversity. But then we also want to then use our regular events as retention, right? To really connect with our board members or our general members one-on-one, get them teach them about SASE, teach them about our mission, and so And we can also learn from the collaboration that we did this year, right? Why was it so messy? Like, how can we fix that? It's always, each collaboration that we do is something we can always like make better, of course. Yes.
So your platform doesn't touch on MWRC, and it's very likely that we'll be hosting the regional conference for those of you who do not know. So how will Midwest Regional Conference play into your plans for next year, and how will responsibilities be distributed? Also, I want to know who is going to be conference chair.
So for Midwest Regional Conference, I'll explain it real fast for those who don't know what it is. It's basically, SASE as a national whole is divided into like the west side of the country, Midwest, and then Eastern. And for the Midwest Regional Conference, all the SASE chapters in the Midwest area come to one of the colleges each year to have a conference. And what we're gonna do is, for dividing tasks, we'll make sure everyone has like equal amounts of tasks, of course, like equal amounts of work in areas that they feel like they excel in. And does that make sense? Yeah. So just like dividing tasks, usually they'll be the same as dividing tasks for an event. Yeah.
Could you repeat the question? What was it?
The first part's fine. I also want to know who is going to be conference chair.
That is something we can bring up to the board, see who has the ambition and the time, and if they really want to step up and take that leadership position, and they can show that they can do it. We want to give this opportunity. It doesn't just have to be a senior board member. It can be anyone who really wants that experience. Yes.
Sorry. So SASE, as implied as the name, is Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers. And I want to place a special emphasis on the scientist part. How are you guys going to address audiences in CBS, CLA, CFANS, and other colleges other than CSE who are also scientists but interested in engaging in this community? What sort of opportunities are you offering these audiences?
So for that, what we talked about during the professional slide is that we plan on increasing our collaborations with other student groups outside of CSE as well. So maybe that may be CBS or maybe Carlson, like we'll see. And we also want to increase the amount of collaborations like research groups. We want to advertise those because a lot of our SASE members are, like we all receive emails from our own departments, and we can advertise the research opportunities and those job opportunities for their respective areas within SASE.
So there will be a large percentage of board members leaving. How will you, or how have you already prepared for next year's larger influx of new members to ensure that they're properly trained, especially in conjunction with all of your new ideas and Midwest Regional Conference?
Hopefully, a lot of the board members applying for board next year have already gone through our Taste of SASE program, so they have gotten an idea of how board operation is like, got an idea of like what kind of roles they want to apply for, and an idea of like what they will need to do for those roles in board next year. And in order to properly train them, we have a whole summer that we will be maintaining communication. We'll be having board meetings to make sure that they know what to expect for the upcoming semester. So the summer will be doing a lot of preparation for them. And also we hope to have the board members leaving to write a standard operating procedure, maybe have like a detailed list of what they did as board members, what are some tips and tricks that like help them to pass on to the new board members. Yes.
I haven't been to very many SASE events, so what are you going to do to like help market or attract new members from going to your events versus CASA or like Tesla Works?
So for that, we gotta like improve our marketing planning strategies, I guess. So currently, what we do is we try to get our Facebook event at least 2 weeks before the actual event happens, and for that, I guess next year we want to get it maybe 2.5 or even 3 weeks beforehand. And we also want to set up a sharing schedule between the board members and mentors and mentees, so that throughout the time span leading up to the event, there will be constant updates or I guess pushes on the Facebook feed to see the event pop up.
What if I don't have a Facebook?
We'll also be posting up flyers around campus.
Yes.
So everyone everyone like responds to leadership style differently. What are your plans for if your board members respond negatively to your leadership style, or just because like you're bringing SASE like the direction?
I'm the type of person who likes to talk things out. If there is a contention with my leadership style, or they don't like something that I'm doing, I encourage them to come to me and tell me exactly like what they don't like. Please be honest, and please express your concerns. And as president, I try to strive as a very open-minded person. I want to hear exactly your reasons of like, oh, what did I do wrong? What did I do that you didn't like? And we can work it out.
Yeah, as for me, it's the same. If anyone feels that my leadership style is not adequate for them, I'll change what I'm doing, because it's also a learning experience for me. I want to be able to improve on those skills for the future.
Can you tell me what do you think has been your major contribution to SASE this year, this past year?
I like to say that I improved on the development team system. For those of you who don't know about the dev team system, here in SASE, when we plan our events, we have development teams where the events coordinator puts a group of people in a team, and they like get together, plan the event, and make sure that the event goes well with the support of the board members. And before, in the fall semester, we didn't have a dev team lead that I implemented in the spring, where so people didn't really have a direction or who to like turn to when someone needs to make a decision. So I appointed for each dev team a person to be a point of contact, so the president can talk to them and figure out events.
Time is up. So yeah, thank you. The two of you. Commemorative character. Call Laura over.
Let's do it at that. I don't carry over. What? I didn't carry
I'll be at like 9.
That was
What is pressure?
You were too far.
I was expecting you to say that. I thought you were going to say, yeah, I thought you were going to say that too. You're like, shows. Yeah, I really
It was really weird because like we cut off that was basically the pressure.
Well, did I get I don't understand like in front.
And also you guys didn't you guys didn't ask us to Tanya, the coach, she's meeting with us. You also didn't ask that. Oh, that's no, it was. You didn't ask me. No, but we didn't mention that it was. It was Hanyang is in Garabo.
that's the webcam.
Well, they're just as questions. Oh, sorry. I did, but I couldn't find because oh no, I didn't. Thank you so
Also, you guys asked too many questions.
Going like really well. I have like no idea what I'm doing. I just like look at it. I just think it's like Canadian dollars right now. Euros. No, I've never done Chinese. And I do Japanese yen. Right now I'm betting that this flag is what people destroy.
wow, yeah.
I'm just gonna try not to.
Yeah, they're still getting pizza.
So like, never like 0.001. Every tiny bit of moves are $20. I just like 0.5% of what I put in already. And that's like the smallest increment I can go.
Oh, John, there's
Hi everyone, I'm Kristin Recinto and I'm running for president.
And I'm Mengdi and I'm running for vice president.
And we're running because we want to empower our SASE community. Now before we get into it, we can talk a little bit about ourselves. Right now I'm a junior Mat Sci, and in the past I was volunteer coordinator, and right now I'm marketing director and public relations officer.
So I'm currently a third year studying biomedical engineering. My past experience with SASE includes acting as our volunteer coordinator last semester. I'm currently the treasurer this semester, and I'm also lead for our new mentorship program, Taste of SASE.
Today we'll be discussing a couple things. We're going to be starting off with our vision, going into our goals, and discussing our plans. Now, our vision really starts off with why we joined SASE in the first place. For me, I joined SASE my freshman year, and after 3 years of being a member, I really believe that I've grown as a leader and developed the best version of myself. Ultimately, we want SASE to become that resource and community that our general members can rely on and look to for guidance.
So to sort of break it down a little bit, underneath our overarching theme of empowerment, we really wanted to focus on two specific aspects of SASE. So for us, that was the professional aspect and then also the community aspect. So underneath our professional goals, we really want to help maintain and strengthen those connections that SASE already has within the U of M campus and also with outside entities. So that really includes other student groups, CSE faculty, and also outside corporations that might be interested in recruiting our talents. Underneath our technical experience goals, we also really want to empower our general members through the technical and project skills that they might find helpful in their future college careers and also in their future careers down the road. Moving on to the community aspect of SASE, we want to empower our general members through how they can give back through our SASE community and also how they stand to gain from the support of SASE. I know for me that, at least personally, that's honestly why I really joined SASE, because we do have such a big welcoming community and everyone really is just there to help you be the best person that you can be.
Now, all of these aspects are going to help us fulfill SASE's commitment to prepare Asian heritage scientists and engineers for success in the global business world. Now we're going to be discussing our goals, and like Mengdi mentioned earlier, our goals are split up into two different directions. Our goals are split up such that we want to provide the tools our general members need for professional experiences as well as cultural awareness and identity through a sense of community, and we'll be elaborating on these later. As far as our professional goals go, we want to strengthen our connections within CSE, and this includes our student groups, as well as with other corporations, such as the companies that come visit us for our professional networking events. We also want to empower our general members to take risks and to form the connections they need to be successful.
So moving on to the culture and community aspects of SASE, so our goals for this branch really are twofold. So first off, we really want to empower everyone by celebrating the diverse cultural identities that are present within our own SASE family. In addition, we also want to strengthen that sense of solidarity in the Asian community on campus. Moving on to community, we also really want to empower our general membership through how they can contribute both to the local community and also to the SASE community, and we want to make sure that they know that SASE is with them every step of the way.
On to discussing our plans to achieve our goals. We're going to start off with our corporate connections. Of course, we want to empower our general members by preparing them for their future careers through solid corporate relationships. And in order to do that, of course, we want to strengthen our corporate relationships.
So at the moment, the professional pillar at SASE UMN isn't as strong as we'd like it to be, and that's really due to a lot of inconsistent correspondence with outside companies and also just inefficient communication with all parties just in general. So in order to address these issues, we plan on developing a new corporate newsletter to provide periodic updates to companies, so that they know about the positive impact that they're having on SASE and on our community. We also hope that this initiative will make them more willing to sponsor us in the future once they see the positive impact they can have on our local community. We also plan on creating a comprehensive email template collection simply for the sake of consistent correspondence. And we also would like to compile relevant statistics that companies might find interesting, just so that they can get a better idea of who we are and how we might fit into their own company values and their company mission. So some signs of success that this plan is working for us is really having a choice of company visitors when we try to host professional events. So this hasn't always been the case in the past. Oftentimes, in the worst case scenarios, our own board members are delegated to acting as panelists, which really isn't the most helpful when we're trying to host a professional networking event. So moving on to the technical experience aspect underneath our professional pillar, we really want to empower our general members with the technical and collaboration skills that they might need later on in the workplace. So for us, that really means making SASE Labs a long-term, more established, and project-based group.
And in order to achieve this goal, we want to implement a new SASE Labs timeline. And a really big part of this timeline is to incorporate a faculty advisor that is willing to help us out with our SASE Labs projects. Right now, we have a year-long project-based group for SASE Labs, but there's limited faculty guidance. And so by the summer of 2019, we plan to meet with other professors, reach out to them, and see who's willing to help us out with our projects. And with this faculty advisor, by the time that we have one established, this professor can help us decide what kind of projects we can work on from year to year. And also act as a resource for us, not so much as someone that tells us what to do, but more so someone that we can look to really just for guidance. So then by the fall, since we would have our projects predetermined by the time students come in, when we recruit other students for SASE Labs, they would already have an interest in the projects that have been decided, and this will help reduce member drop-off throughout the year. Then by spring of 2020, we would be able to present their work in the same way that SASE Labs has a symposium going on next week, which you should all go to, as well as continuing other projects from year to year. And so our signs of success for this SASE Labs plan is that we have overarching projects that continue on from year to year and that members demonstrate confidence in their research and development skills. We understand that a lot of our members in SASE Labs are freshmen and sophomores, and so they're probably joining because they would like that technical experience if they're looking to join, say, a professor's lab or looking for an internship later on. We also are involved with community outreach, mainly through our subgroup, SASE Junior. And we empower our general members through service, and this goes back to giving back to the community. With SASE Junior, we want to streamline our planning and execution process for the SASE Junior program and its events. There's not too much we want to change here, it's mostly just a few little tweaks.
So at the moment, SASE Junior partners with the Hmong College Prep Academy in St. Paul with the ultimate goal of bringing STEM opportunities to local Hmong American high school students who might not always have the chance to interact in such a way. At the moment, event scheduling can be a little bit rushed, and communication isn't always the most efficient. So especially with the implementation of the new programming labs that will be starting up as an extracurricular activity for these high schoolers next fall, we really want to take this opportunity to streamline events planning and also communications. So in order to do that, we plan on appointing a new HCPA SASE Junior representative. So this representative would be a high school student who is interested in SASE Junior and is willing to act as a point of contact between SASE UMN and HCPA. So there really are two goals to this appointment. So the first being we want to improve communication with HCPA so that it is both more efficient and more effective. And we also hope that this representative will be able to generate additional interest in SASE Junior simply through word of mouth, by talking to their friends, talking in class, speaking with their teachers, etc. We also understand that this is a lot of work for just one SASE Junior coordinator to undertake, so if elected, we do plan on recruiting another SASE Junior coordinator to our board roster. So SASE is also a cultural group, as I'm sure most of you guys are aware. We do have a lot of fun cultural events with lots of food, games, and prizes, and ultimately the goal of these events is to empower our diverse cultural identities within the SASE community, and we also want to, again, strengthen that whole sense of solidarity in the Asian community on campus. So in order to do this, we believe that we should better structure our cultural events and also present a new cultural collaborations timeline.
So we have a couple plans with regard to our cultural awareness aspect. We want to tweak our content into a more cultural direction. Since right now we do have a lot of cultural events, but we would like to have them a little bit more streamlined and have them a little bit more culturally involved. One really good example of what we would like to continue on into next year is our dumpling event that we had not too long ago. People got dumplings that they really, really enjoyed. There was a presentation on the history of these dumplings that they were eating, and there was a game of Kahoot that was based on the presentation where people won prizes. So you get the food, you have a learning experience about the culture, and you still get member involvement through the games. So we keep the integrity of the cultural events that we had before, it's just a little bit more culturally streamlined. In addition, we want to implement another new collaboration timeline. And this is mostly for planning purposes. Right now, with our collaborations, there's a lot of last-minute communication and conflicting ideas between SASE and the other party. To alleviate that, we want to contact other student groups in the spring, later this semester, and figure out who's interested in collaborating with us in the fall. Throughout the summer, we would continue our conversations with the other student group, really just to talk about budgeting and general planning for the event, and so that by the time school comes around, we can lay out a more specified timeline with the other student group and get down to all of the details. That's when we can discuss who's, let's say, since we already have the budget figured out, we can discuss who's going to be buying what at what time, and when we're going to meet up to discuss X, Y, and Z, etc. Additionally, we want to rethink our Valentine's and Thanksgiving events. We understand that this is something that a lot of you may really enjoy since it is an annual event, but we want to go about it in a more cultural direction, of course. So one way that we want to go about Valentine's Day, for example, is to incorporate Chinese Valentine's Day. We understand that it is celebrated over the summer, but we can celebrate it in February around the same time as American Valentine's Day. That way it could be a really good means of combining both American and Chinese cultures. And so good signs of success for our cultural awareness plans are extensive contact with other student groups such that events are planned well ahead of schedule. One really good example of what we have right now is Cody from J Cafe reaching out to us and discussing SSF budgeting for our Halloween event way in the fall.
So moving on to our new mentorship program, Taste of SASE. So we saw a lot of success with this semester just with getting people involved and getting people to feel like they really were a part of our SASE community. So we just really want to continue the success of this program, and we want to empower our general members by giving them an opportunity to really contribute to SASE and feel like they're a part of something bigger than just themselves. So for this plan, our short-term goal includes increasing general member involvement and also seeing an increase in board member to general member interactions. So in order to accomplish these goals, we plan on extending the program into a mentorship and shadowing thing in the fall, and then transitioning into more planning and committee responsibilities in the spring. So really what will be happening is they'll get to see what we do in the fall, and then in the spring they'll get a chance to actually do what we do. So we plan on keeping participation and motivation in this program high by implementing a semester-long point system with the mentor-mentee pairings who have been the most active over the semester receiving some sort of a prize. And we also plan on hosting themed weeks and sponsoring mentors to take their mentees out for lunch or to take them out for boba, to host bonding events at their own apartments, that kind of thing. So for us, signs that this plan really is working is just seeing a general increase of familiar faces at our events, and also just getting feedback from both general members and board members that everyone really is feeling more integrated into the community.
And to summarize all of our goals and plans, we want to strengthen corporate connections, mostly through our corporate newsletter, provide applicable technical experiences, and refine SASE Labs, mostly through getting that faculty advisor, enhance cultural diversity, again with another planning timeline, as well as implementing mentorship throughout the year to empower our SASE community. Do you have any questions? Tiffany.
Yeah, so I have a question about SASE Junior. So what a lot of your SASE Junior representative idea reminds me a lot of in the past when we had tried to establish a SASE Junior chapter, where essentially it's a very similar thing, and that failed pretty terribly. And I wanted to ask, how is your idea different, and why do you think yours will succeed?
Well, it's not exactly establishing another SASE Junior chapter. We're still going along the lines of outreach. It's really just this person is more of a point of contact between us and the programming lab that we have over there or any other events so that they could relay that information to the teachers. It's not so much just another chapter over there.
It also really is just an additional opportunity to get the community even more involved in SASE. So extending this opportunity to a high school student really will make them feel like they are a part of what we're trying to accomplish.
It's a very laid-back position.
Yes.
Ashley?
So you talked about establishing more projects through SASE Labs, and because of the diversity of different majors within SASE and kind of the resources available to SASE versus maybe another student group that's devoted to a particular project or projects for a particular major, what benefits would SASE Labs be able to offer that in technical experience that other student groups could not?
I think the biggest part with that is, well, like other student groups, we plan to have another faculty advisor, and so they will be getting that technical experience. But I think something that we value a lot more than maybe other student groups may have is that we are working more towards empowering our SASE Labs members. So if they can gain the skills from SASE Labs, that's all we really want them to do. We understand they might be coming into it without too much experience, so if they can demonstrate the skills and maybe not exactly come to a closing with the project, and that's okay, we really just want them to grow, then that's totally fine.
So that's really our emphasis of the SASE Labs program, and that's kind of how it will differ.
Yes, Crystal.
So this is a question from Nora, because she's outside right now, but so there are several majors and potential fields that SASE Labs project can fall under. So how do you plan on accommodating that when you're contacting faculty members over the summer, when you don't necessarily know who will be in SASE Labs next year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We're actually basing our model from another student group that I had extensive contact with, and it seems to work out for them really well. I actually was talking to someone from IE, and they've experienced the same type of issues, but they were able to get over it because they were still able to delegate tasks to other students that weren't even particularly in the same field of study. For example, they had a problem, or maybe not even a problem, but they did have a student come in that was like an English major that still wanted to be a part of their wind turbine project, but they were still able to give the student other maybe like documenting responsibilities to the student so they could still be involved.
So really when selecting a project, we won't be able to take into account, well, we won't be able to predict exactly who signs up for the project in the fall, but we can choose like the broadest project in mind and then just try to accommodate people into roles that will help contribute.
Yeah. Plus the people that come in, since they already know what project we're working on, it'll probably attract people that are already interested in that type of field.
So a large focus of SASE and SASE Nationals really is that focus on us as being Asians living in America and how we identify with both Asian and American culture and how we navigate American life through an Asian lens. So currently we do 3 American holidays and 3 Asian events. By removing 2/3 of those traditional American holidays, you are ignoring probably a larger aspect of our identity, and I wanted to ask if you think that's worth sacrificing for in favor of morphing, I guess, everything we really do into cultural focus on the Asian culture.
I don't know if it would really be a focus on solely Asian cultures, kind of like what Kristin mentioned in our presentation. We're really looking to try to like mesh the two. That really would mean celebrating both American traditions and then also recognizing that there are a lot of commonalities within Asian cultures that are also a part of our identities.
That's another question. I wanted to ask, so there'll be a large percentage of board members leaving. How will you or how have you already prepared for next year's larger influx of new members to ensure that they're properly trained, especially in conjunction with your ideas and us potentially hosting Midwest Regional Conference?
Yeah, so a big part of that comes from meeting with a lot of our board members prior to this election, so we kind of have a general idea of what most of our members are going through right now, kind of what their responsibilities are, what they want to see out of their position, what they want to see out of SASE, and what they want to change. And hopefully we can relay that over to our next round of general members as well. With regard to Midwest Regional Conference, we know that's going to be a big part of the spring semester, but we do have a plan in mind, and we want to, or what we plan to do is to delegate most of our, maybe not most of, but a lot of our day-to-day tasks to our mentorship program, since by that time, they're already going to want to do what we're doing by the spring semester. And with our own board and delegating tasks between the rest of us, we're thinking that we could probably just implement our development team system, kind of the way that we plan our events from week to week. So we could delegate tasks that way with planning Midwest Regional as well.
Does this mean you're planning most of Midwest Regionals in the spring?
No, over the summer. This will also Well, I think the planning portion, a lot of it will happen over the summer, and in terms of that, time management is a lot simpler. Additionally, next year, Kristin and I will both have decreased course loads, which means increased time to devote to SASE. And in addition, again, the whole development team's
Will
idea.
really help
that,
out, yeah.
Yes.
And the mentees that are coming in.
Ultimately,
Go ahead.
sorry. So ultimately, yeah, since we will be extremely busy in the spring, largely running around actually trying to actively pull together the conference, we believe that the mentees will be the most helpful at that point in time. Yeah, at that point in time when we are trying to organize events, the usual events that we do pull off, and then at the same time, conference.
What do each of you acknowledge as a personal shortcoming, and how will you address that in your leadership?
I think my biggest shortcoming is that for a lot of things I do want to get a lot ahead of time. So for me, I could get a little bit impatient, but at the same time, it's not so much of a bad thing because we can take care of things a little bit more, or maybe I can keep track of things a little bit better with regard to everyone else on board. Plus, it'll be really nice having a little bit more extra time next year too to devote to SASE.
So for me, I tend to get a little short-sighted in terms of the task that I'm focused on doing at this moment in time. Sometimes I go a little bit too in detail and I kind of lose sight of the bigger picture, what else we're trying to accomplish, things like that. But that's really something that I've been working on, so just mindfulness, keeping in mind that that is how I tend to be, and just trying to be cognizant of that and maintaining that overall sense that we do have a bigger picture to work on. Crystal.
So how do you imagine your president, vice president dynamic working? Who will do what?
I'm sorry?
Who will do what?
How will you delegate responsibilities?
When we started meeting as PvP candidates, we discussed that Mengdi would take care of more of the internal things and I would take care of more of the external things because ideally I would be like the face of SASE since I would be hypothetically the president. And then, so it kind of just made more sense for me to work with the more external responsibilities.
Yeah, Kristin is also just like louder and like more personable than I am. So that's just kind of like how it worked out. But yeah.
So a lot of your ideas really revolve around other people and in making sure that they're the ones really doing the work. Like your SASE Junior ideas like that, your SASE Labs ideas like that, your corporate newsletters like that. How do you plan on accounting for just like variability and when things maybe don't go through? Do you have any backup plans about how you guys will react?
Yeah, we plan, since like I said before, we do plan on having a little bit more time to spend on SASE throughout the year, and so we want to have check-ins from here from time to time with our board members, especially if like maybe for whatever reason they're not fulfilling the duties that we would like them to. We could always just talk to them, and it's really just a matter of open communication between us and the board to make sure that we are doing the best we can.
And also if someone has too large of a load, hopefully that open communication will also help them convey that to us, and then we can come up with a plan of attack from there just to address those issues, see if we need to reassign responsibilities, if someone doesn't like their role, if we need to shift things. We're very adaptable people. We believe that we're more than capable of addressing that sort of issue as it comes up.
Cody.
So asking the same question that I asked before. So SASE is a society of Asian scientists and engineers, and I really want to emphasize that scientist part. So how are you going to, what sort of opportunities and how are you going to reach out to Asian scientists of other colleges such as CBSC fans, CLA, sort of like extending your research or reach outside of CSE? What are you going to do in that sort of direction?
I think a big part of that is actually going to come in through when the freshmen have their student group fair thing that they walk around all the booths and stuff. And so a lot of our outreach will go through that. And we also outreach through all of our posters that we put up in throughout all of the buildings for our events, and we post everything on Facebook, so it should be publicly available. With regard to reaching out to other colleges, it would definitely be a possibility for us to just go out and put things in other buildings, if we want to reach other communities as well, we're just definitely open to other ideas to reach out to other scientists in different colleges.
We also think that our cultural collaborations will probably help to alleviate that situation a little bit, just because we are getting exposed to large groups of other Asians who might also be in STEM, and again, not explicitly CSE or in engineering. So that will also really help spread our influence. Kristin.
Question from Nora. So, you mentioned collaborations, but sometimes with collaborations, communication can be a bit difficult and plans can fall through. So, how will you make sure that work is split evenly and to have backup plans for when things fail?
Yes. So, do you want to take it? That's fine. As far as making sure that things are split evenly and communication is effective, we are implementing that timeline, and so hopefully using that timeline will help us spread out planning for events way in advance so that we don't have that miscommunication that we typically have right before when we are planning events like 2 weeks prior, as it usually seems.
In addition, with this new timeline, it does include budgeting. So for example, Cody, again, sorry, I'm going to use you for a second. Cody did reach out to us in advance when we were coming up with the SSF budget for our Halloween event next year. So with that tangible connection, it'll be less likely that collaborations will simply just fall through last minute. Yeah, thanks, Cody.
Collaborations are very tiring on the board. They're a lot of work for everyone. Just communicating with people is difficult. How will you ensure that the board doesn't get burnt out? And what will you do if they're like tired and sad?
Yeah, that comes in again with the collaboration timeline. Since the planning is very well spread out, you're not just like front loading all of your planning 2 weeks before. And I think that's why people get so stressed out and so burnt out when we have the planning event, when we're planning for our collaboration events, because then there's a lot of communication, and then like people are communicating over different forms of social media, and there's just a whole lot of things that are going on. And so if we can plan ahead of time, if there's any miscommunication, it happens way early on, and we can clarify things much earlier.
Yeah, so everything isn't just last minute.
I would say for dumplings, we did try to plan almost a semester in advance for that. We did try to get that started in the fall, and that still was very difficult on the board. And I just wanted to ask then, how will that be any different? Because I would say we tried our best to do this very early. So how will your plans be any different than how dumplings went?
The issue with dumplings a lot was trying to find someone who was willing to collaborate with us. At least for next semester, a lot of this stress is alleviated since we do already have ISA on board. Again, it's just a matter of reaching out to interested groups ahead of time and just seeing who's willing to collaborate, just sending out mass emails and seeing who responds. There's not really much we can do but try to front load everything and reach out as early as possible, which honestly did not really happen for dumplings since correspondence didn't really begin until I think the beginning of this semester.
Another question from Nora. So you discussed the importance of community, and on a common theme through everybody's bios in the pamphlets there is that you come into SASE with the feeling of being kind of lonely, left out, and then SASE is a community. So, but how will you make sure to help everyone feel welcome in SASE?
So really, we believe that since the people coming in really are those people who are looking for a community and who have already taken that first step just by coming to our events. And then from there, we believe that it's our responsibility to go up to them, say hi, learn their name, just share a little bit about yourself, like what you're passionate about, what your interests are, and really try to form that connection. And are we done? No?
Oh, you can finish your sentence. Sorry.
And to really form that connection. And then to further develop that later on, we do plan on having group bonding activities, but even if that seems too overwhelming, like I'm always down to just like go out and have coffee and just chat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I came into SASE really hoping to just meet more people. Okay, so done.
Okay. with that. Sometimes we need to tell them. Can someone go get Nora? Can you get Nora?
You just want a picture?
Oh, she is out.
Do we want to go to our title slide and not this?
Nora? She's watching the other people.
Is it going to be awkward with the projection and the
Is the lighting bad?
Here. Oh. There you go.
Oh no, I have to still say something. So I'm just gonna talk about other.
Sure. Good luck. Just dip and do it.
You're gonna do it?
Okay, thanks guys. Shift that way.
Oh wait, I left my light.
All right, guys. So that concludes all of our official campaigning and presentations. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm super grateful to see so many faces here, and I hope you all felt very inspired by the conversations we've had tonight. So what I want to emphasize is that voting is now live, and it will be open until Sunday midnight. Not only that, but if you do not want to vote now, that is completely fine. There's a lot to digest here and parse. So we will also be posting the slides online. You will get to view the slides, and we do have our Facebook live stream here. So you can review the whole thing if you really want to, or you can just look through the slides and look for some information. So thank you again, everyone. If you did not receive the link, please come talk to me now. And again, voting is open. You have until Sunday. Do not forget to vote. Your vote matters. So thank you again, everyone. I think that's all I have to say. Oh, there's one more thing. I do want, we have the room booked until 8 o'clock, and I think it'd be really nice if all of you can have a nice, informal discussions with one another. I think discussion is really healthy and a really important part of this whole process. And the candidates, hopefully, will be here to answer any of your questions. You can come talk to any of us, though, any of the board members, each other. Really think about what everyone else maybe finds important, says in their thoughts. I think don't feel bad about having opinions. Having opinions are good, so please feel free to share them, talk to each other, talk to the candidates if you had questions that were left unanswered or not answered adequately. So yeah, thank you for that, and I hope to see you around at our next event, which will be Thursday at the barbecue and Friday at our symposium. Thank you.
Is this the live stream? Oh, nice. I was like, what camera? Nice microphone. Yeah, we ready.